What is up, MMA-Holes? Welcome to another episode of Fight Briefing! Very soothing. Welcome, guys. Another Thursday has approached, and this one's exciting because this is not just a UFC fight night. No. This is a UFC pay-per-view. We are going to be discussing UFC 243 tonight, which is going to be on Saturday, taking place, actually returning to Australia for the UFC. And for those who have forgotten, the last time the UFC did visit this venue that they're going to was when Ronda Rousey versus Holly Holm took place back in 2015. So that's going to be pretty exciting. But I honestly think that that's nothing compared to the card that we're going to have this weekend because, of course, Whittaker versus Adesanya are by far the biggest fight in history of Australian MMA because you've got Whittaker, who's an Aussie champ, and you've got Adesanya, who is from New Zealand, and he's got the interim champ belt title. You know what I'm talking about. So I think it's going to be pretty exciting this weekend. I was just telling Moss right before the show, I said, I'm actually pretty excited to talk about this card tonight. I'm excited to talk about all cards, but this one in particular I think is going to be pretty fun. There is one fight, maybe two, that I don't think really belong on the main card, but it is what it is. It's there, so let's fucking talk about it. Let's say hello to the chat first. We have Drunk Savage, who says, don't sleep on Adesanya. We'll talk about it. Dan the Male Hooker says, Kenny Kappa. D-Rest in the chat. True Grit. Pete Ophelia is also in the chat. It says, John Paul just texted me and said, said he will pay a year's worth of Canadian loonies to watch Moss stick that Theragun up Jessica's stinky pinky. I don't know who Jessica is, but I hope she enjoys it. All right, let's talk about it, guys. We have Whittaker versus Adesanya coming up this weekend, and boy, am I excited because I am going to put so many people to rest this weekend when it comes to the style bender, the last style bender. So let's take a look at who's on the card first before we get too far into it. We've got Justin Tafa versus Yorgan Nicastro, who's going to be starting off the main card this weekend. They were actually moved up from the prelims. Holly Holm was taken out of the main card due to injuries, so they did move this fight up. Originally, it was not on there. By the way, Pulse, I don't think you even have a pick for this fight. So if you still want to do that competition, you better make a pick, buddy, or this competition's over. It is over. Next fight on the card, we have Luke Jumeau versus Dhiego Lima. Of course, Dhiego Lima is the younger brother of Douglas Lima, Bellator's Douglas Lima. Then we have Tuivasa versus Sergei Speevak, or Sergey Speevak, but I'm pretty sure it's Sergei Speevak. Anyways, this is going to be a freaking slugfest. I cannot wait for this one. Quinta, a fellow New Yorker, and that sounded British, right? New Yorker. And then we got Dan Hooker. So that alone, I've got a lot to talk about on that one. And our main event, of course, is Robert Whittaker versus Israel Adesanya, which I can't fucking wait to talk about. Super chat.
Hey, JBH, and hello to all the wonderful, wonderful people out there.
PBR.
Waving.
Do the Moss smile? Hello, PBR. Good afternoon. How are you doing? By the way, before I get into the fight, the first fight of the night, I just want to let you guys know, I mentioned it a little bit yesterday. I'm doing a Halloween village. It's become a little hobby of mine because I have no hobbies and I'm miserable. So it's actually fun. Chris's mom was lovely enough to give me the first 3 pieces to my little set. But I did create an Amazon wish list, and it is in the link in the description. Thank you to Drunk Savage. He said he's already gotten me a little piece. And I know a couple of other people said they were looking into getting me a piece. So if you could please help me out, help me build this village before Halloween gets here. I would love nothing more than to have a little Halloween village sitting on my mantle. And it would piss Moss off because he hates decorations. So if you want to piss Moss off, link in the description. There's an Amazon wish list for anything that I need for that little village. Just pick whatever you want and, P.O. Box, link in the description, all that stuff. All right, let's get into the first fight of the main card. Now, thanks to the UFC once again for not providing me with the pictures, so I did come up with my own. Look at this loveliness going on over here. We've got Yorgan Nicastro versus Justin Tafa. I am excited for this fight for a couple of reasons. One, Yorgan Nicastro came out of CES. He is a fellow CESer. He's one of our boys over here. We got CBD. To see him. Oh!
CBD.
Roberto! CBD, 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 CBD.
CBD. It helps with healing process and inflammation and stuff like that. So you wanted to get these for before or after the fight training and make your life a better place.
Roberto Hernandez.
I ordered my piece for the Halloween farm already. Zombie, vampire.
What? Yeah! Thank you so much, Roberto! A zombie and a vampire, or is that the emojis for Halloween? Thank you so much for helping me with my Halloween village. I can't fucking wait. I can't wait. I hope I can get it all done before Halloween. I can do it with your guys' help. Thank you so much. All right. Yorgan Nicastro versus Justin Tafa. Now, like I said, Nicastro is from CES. He's currently on a five fight winning streak, and he's undefeated, so that would make him 5-0. Now, his last fight was June 18th against Alton Meeks, and that was at Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series. We actually got to react to that fight this summer, and he won by finish. Leg kicks and then hammer fists towards the end, but the leg kick is ultimately what knocked his opponent down in the first round. He had 15 seconds left on the clock when he won that fight, and I think it threw everybody off. In fact, I was even kind of like, was that really a TKO there? You know, like the kick just didn't look powerful, but after watching the replay, guys got some heavy striking, and not just striking, he's got, his kicks are lethal, clearly. He knocked down his opponent with them. Now, Nicastro has competed 5 times in his professional career. He has won every single one of them. He's only gone decision 1 time. In his entire in those 5 fights. All of the rest of them have been finishes by KO or TKO. So we know this guy has some serious power behind him. Now, here's the thing about Nicastro. I really hope that the Octagon shock doesn't get to him, because this will be technically his UFC debut. And I really feel like this kid has a lot to offer. We got to see him fight in CES, and he's great. He's fucking great, this kid. I think that one thing that we're going to be concerned about here is we've never really gotten an opportunity to see his groundwork all that much, because he is a finisher. He does like to stay on the feet. He does like to use his fists. And he does not have pillows for fists, I can tell you that much. So hopefully his ground game is great. And hopefully we get to see it at some point in his career. But I don't think that this fight in particular is going to be some sort of groundwork type of fight. On that note, Tafa, his opponent, is currently on a 4-fight winning streak. Now, his pro MMA record is 3-0, so one of those fights does count as an AMI fight, so I don't really count it. Right off the bat, Tafa, I think, is going to have a home field advantage here. Tafa is from the area. He's also going to be making his UFC debut. So we've got 2 fighters. Now, that's why I'm kind of like, why is this a main card? But it's going to be a slugfest, and it's going to be an exciting fight. So I could see why they would put this of all fights on the main card, right? He's coming in with an undefeated record as well, just like Nicastro is. Now, Tafa is good friends with Mark Hunt, and he's training with Mark Hunt. As far as I understand, he trains with Mark Hunt, and I think that could really aid him here, because I think Hunt will have taught Tafa, a lot about having strategy when going against another heavy hitter like Nicastro. So, and Tafa has spent pretty much his entire professional career in Extreme Fighting Championship. We've all heard of it. XFC. All of his wins have been racked up by KO TKO as well, just like Nicastro. The only difference is Nicastro did have 1 decision on his career. But regardless, these are 2 incredible strikers. These are 2 extremely heavy hitters and 2 explosive, two extremely exciting fighters to watch. So that being said, the bottom line for this fight, I think that this can be scary for Nicastro, so he has to be careful, because Tafa's nobody to play around with, but also vice versa. Nicastro's nobody to play around with. We've got 2 extremely great finishers. We've got most certainly not going the distance with each other. That's something that you can 100% count on. This is going to be a finished fight. There is no doubt about it. To say one of them is a more proven fighter than the other, I think would be a little bit ridiculous because we've never really gotten the opportunity to see very much of them yet in order to make that judgment. And neither of them have had to deal with the octagon pressure or the octagon shock, as you like to call it. The only reason I would give Nicastro a little bit of an advantage when it comes to the pressure is because he's already fought in front of Dana White before for the Tuesday Night Contender Series. So he's already felt that pressure. You know, that alone I think is like an octagon shock for him. So that's where I would kind of give him the advantage when it comes to the pressure of being a newcomer, of being a debut fighter, and being on the main card of a freaking pay-per-view, for God's sakes. I also worry, though, that Tafa doesn't have enough experience like Nicastro has. Nicastro, if you look at not just his pro record, but his AMI record, yeah, he's racked up a couple losses on his AMI record, but, I mean, the guy is still pretty freaking good, and it's difficult for him to get finished. So, overall, I think this should be a pretty near-even fight, but I'm going to have to go with our CES boy on this one, and I'm going to choose Nicastro for the win. And in fact, I'm going to choose him by KO or TKO. So let me know who you guys have in the chat. Do you have Nicastro or do you have Justin Tafa? Both of them debut fighters in this fight for UFC 243. Let me know. Eddie D says, the MMA-Holes, you watch these guys' fights? Yes, we have. In fact, like I just mentioned, Yorgan Nicastro is coming from a promotion that we've covered. So these guys are good. They're pretty good fighters, so I'm excited. I think this is going to be a pretty big slugfest. Cole Vick, you know UFC doesn't market cards anymore like JBH does. Woo! Thanks, Cole Vick. King K, I have Robert Whittaker. Well, don't tell me that yet. We're not there yet. Detroit What says, smoke a bowl. Kenny Kappa says, Mark Hunt would take Tuivasa to box school. It's a toss-up, says Medgus Guy. Chrome T Dome, JBH, Eddie D. Nicastro, first round KO. I'm feeling you, Eddie. Pulse, you got a wrench. CC Ryder. Pete Ophelia says the brown guy will win. It's a horrible thing to say, Pete. It's such a horrible thing to say. All right. Thank you for your picks. Beep, beep, CC. Beep, beep. Thanks, Nick C. I'm glad you're with me. I'm with you. All right. Let's move on to the next fight over here. Now I got to take these guys off because, like I said, thanks to the UFC. You like that hairy chest you see up there? Oh, yes. Yes. Hairy chest. Yes. Fap.
Gaylord.
All right, calm down, guys. Jesus Christ. What's wrong with you people? Shame on you. Moss is yelling from the other room. Shame on you guys for fapping to that. That's horrible. All right, focus. Thank you, Drunk Savage. Luke Jumeau versus Dhiego Lima is... What the fuck? There we go. Luke Jumeau versus Dhiego Lima. I didn't even have the right fight. We're looking at the chest of the next fight. Jumeau, currently on a one-fight win streak, a 4-0 record, and his last fight was in February of last year. Not this last February 2018. So a long layoff for Jumeau. But don't worry, let's get into it. So judging by his previous UFC fights, Jumeau is somewhat of a brawler. He enjoys trading shots. He isn't all that technical with it, which could be a little bit of a problem. And he doesn't look like the best athlete. But don't let that get you down. Jumeau has 5 finishes on his record, but all by either KO or TKO. So we know he has the ability to finish his opponents, find their chin, and sort of put them down, right? Now, we've seen Lima knocked out before. I don't know how many of you guys have seen Lima fight in the past, but he has been knocked out before by the likes of Jason Jackson and Tim Means. So the difference here is I don't really think that Jumeau is as technical as those fighters who have knocked out Lima. I think it will lead to a little bit more of a difficult strategy for Jumeau when trying to maneuver around Lima's head movement. I'm sure Lima's learned his lesson after those 2 knockouts and sort of worked on his footwork and his head movement a lot. And I really feel that that's the only difference. But like I said, Jumeau is a finisher. We've seen him finish, fights in the past. He's also from New Zealand. It's not Australia, but it's very close. And I really think that he's going to have that aura of the friends and the family and the home field feeling in the air. And I think that could aid him in this fight as well. Or it could put pressure on him, but I really think it's going to aid him. We really see people, fighters get aided more when they're at a home field advantage more often than not. So let's talk about Lima for a minute. Lima is currently on a 2-fight winning streak. He's a 14-7-0. His last fight was against Court McGee in April 27th, 2019. So he is coming off a win, which is great for Lima, but here's where I start to get a little worried. Now, let's keep in mind Lima, like I said, he is Douglas Lima's younger brother. Douglas Lima is a Bellator fighter, an outstanding Bellator fighter at that. And Dhiego Lima's biggest claim to fame is probably the fact that he made it to Tough twice, 2 separate finales or something like that. Now, Lima is a pretty widely skilled fighter, and I don't sleep on that. But as I previously mentioned, his chin can definitely be found. He's on a 2-fight winning streak right now. One of those fights were by knockout. The other one went the distance. But what concerns me here about Lima is the fact that these two opponents never really got the opportunity to land or find Lima's chin, the ones that he beat. That being said, I worry that given the chance, given enough time, Lima's chin could have been found in either of those fights and can be found by future opponents. I mean, it's safe to say that Lima has a pretty soft chin in this fight. Now, I will say the fact that he was able to take down 2 pretty heavy, hardened veterans does say a lot about his skill, but it doesn't say enough. At least not to me. It doesn't. So bottom line for this fight, now I'm not really sure if this fight belongs on the main card. I'm going to be completely honest with you. And this is the one that I was mentioning in the very beginning when I said there were some fights that I was a little sketchy about. This one I think should be a preliminary fight. It seems a little weird to me that it is on the pay-per-view, but like with most cards outside of states, we see them put home field fighters on those cards, and I have a feeling that due to it being close to home for Jumeau, I really feel that that's probably the reason they put this on the main card here. But nonetheless, it's there, so we're gonna get into it. I feel like Luke Jumeau is still pretty unproven here. He is extremely popular in his home country, but I worry we haven't really seen enough of him to be able to say that his skills and style, he has what it takes to beat someone like Lima. I mean, Lima does show a lot of promise, even though he has been knocked out. Jimoh has a chance here simply because I just don't trust Lima's chin. I don't. I mean, the guy, he has no chin in the slightest. In terms of actual skills, I feel like, he's overmatched from what we've seen. I mean, he's got great skill, but his chin is shit. Easy to be found, easy to be caught. I mean, I don't know if it's because he doesn't protect himself. I can't really explain all that there. We just know he has a chin and it can be found. He also has, now, like I said, Jimoh hasn't fought since February 2018, so that worries me a little bit. He's been on a long layoff, but maybe that was enough time to give him a little bit of training and sort of purpose and finding himself as a fighter again and sort of bringing himself back in. So every sense of my brain here is saying to go with Lima because that would be the smart pick, to go with Lima. But you know what? In this particular fight, I'm a risky person, and I've got an itchy feeling that Jimoh's got something here hidden up his sleeve that we're not ready for. So I'm actually going to go with Jimoh on this fight. Believe it or not. I'm going to go with Jimoh and not Lima. Let me know who you guys have in the chat, Luke Jimoh or Dhiego Lima. I would actually love to know. And tell me why. Tell me why. If you pick Lima, why are you picking Lima? I'd love to know. Pedophilia says the white guy will probably win. Lima is heading to his brother's promotion. You think he's going to head over to Bellator here soon? CC Ryder, brains got no sense. Thomas Waters, interesting. Post-resurrected, Jimoh going down. 2 joins. I got this channel for the win. JBH, Cole Vic, we wanted the other Lima anyway. Cole Vic, we want... Oh, I'm sorry. I read that already. Detroit What says Lima by decision. Thomas Waters going against the grain. Chrome T Dome, yeah, he has something up his sleeve. He's going to get devastatingly knocked out. CC Ryder says, wait, you got an itchy feeling? I think they make a salve for that. Here's the thing. I said the same fucking thing about Tristan Connolly, who was making his UFC debut and won. He won by knockout 3 cards ago, I can't remember. I think it was Fight Night 158. I made that pick, or 159, I can't remember. Whatever card Tristan Connolly was on just recently, he was making his UFC debut and everyone was like, no, don't pick Connolly. And I had that itching feeling and I said the same fucking thing that I said about Jumeau. And I genuinely believe it. I genuinely believe that Jimoh is going to show us something here that we were not ready for. So I can't wait. I can't wait for that fight. I don't believe it belongs on a pay-per-view, but I can't wait to see that fight happen. Mystic Jess, that's right, Thomas Waters. All right, let's get into the next fight here. We've got Tuivasa versus Sergei Speevak. Spivak. All right. How many of you guys are excited for this fight? Drop the ones in the chat. I think anybody should be excited to see Tuivasa fight. I mean, the guy's just great. I mean, what can you not love about Tuivasa? He's just the best. Drinks out of a shoe. You know, drinks fans' beers out of fans' shoes. He's just great. You know? All right. Tuivasa is currently on a 2-fight winning streak. His pro MMA record is 10-2-0, and his last fight was in June of this year. So very, very recent against Blagoy Ivanov, which was a pretty interesting fight because he did take a loss there, but we'll get into that in a minute. Now, I love this fight for a number of reasons. You guys already know I'm excited for this fight. To start, I believe that Tuivasa is going to have a home field advantage here. I think that he's going to feed off of the energy from his hometown. And I like I said, I think it aids any fighter, you know, who's fighting from home, but Tuivasa especially. Everybody, like, the people just love him. He's just he's great. He's a great fighter. He's a great personality. And he's going to feel it. He's going to be like Conor McGregor in Ireland. He's just going to feed off of the fucking energy. I think it's going to be perfect for him. Now, Tuivasa also is one of the most charismatic fighters, which is one of the things that I love about him. He has most of his wins are by finishes, which are freaking awesome. If he wins the fight on Saturday night, I have no doubt that this will also be a finish. So there's just no chance that Tuivasa wins the fight by decision. And if he does, I'd be very shocked. You'll see my jaw drop if it goes to decision because there's just no doubt about it, you know. Now, it's also something to keep in mind, though, that Tuivasa is coming off of 2 losses. One of them being by TKO, which I never thought I would see happen, but it did. And it was from Junior Dos Santos, of all people. Now, Dos Santos is a fucking beast. You know, you can't sleep on that. Dos Santos, he's an animal. He's a tough opponent. So, you know, it's kind of no surprise to me that he did lose to Dos Santos, but I didn't think it'd be by KO or TKO. So, we know that Tuivasa does have a chin that can be found. I don't think it's going to be against this guy, though. Also, his last fight against Blagoy Ivanov, like I said, he took a loss there. He seemed a little bit slower in that fight, and eventually he did take the loss, but it was weird. It was a little bit weird to see that version of Tuivasa, but altogether, I think if Tuivasa pays attention to his range, if he comes in with those heavy hands that he's known for, if he comes in with that strategic fighting and that explosive type of style, then he might have a chance here. Now, Spivak, on the other hand, is currently on a 1-fight losing streak, so both of them coming off of losses, which is all right. His pro MMA record is 9-1-0, and his last fight was in May of this year against Walt Harris. In fact, I believe that was his UFC debut, so he's still relatively new to the UFC here. Some people thought that he was going to bring something because he came in with a record of 9-0. He was an undefeated fighter, but it was clear that was quickly Frank Lavon! Anzalone! Michael Anzalone! Anzalone! Michael Anzalone!
Watch out, here he comes with the wrench friend, heart and soul of the holes, Mrs. Steely girlfriend. Time out trolls, welcome to the dead end. Cock so big that you can't even comprehend. Bust and grow, making bitches moan. On the timestamp pro, while the chat room stoned. Hold up, save the show, for the tales will be told about
Michael Anzalone. Smile back to you. Frank Lavon is in the house. Bow, 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 bow.
Wonderful.
All right. Calm down, guys. Jeez. It's just Frank Lavon. It's no big deal. Where was I was talking about Spivak. That gives me chills. I hear Michael Anzalone song. I see Frank Pavon's name. I just get chills. All right, first of all, before we continue with the fight. I've got 50 likes. You've got 50 likes. We've got 50 likes. MMA-Holes 50 likes.
I've got 50 likes. You've got 50 likes. We've got 50 likes.
MMA-Holes 50 likes.
I've got 50 likes. You've
Wait,
got 50
wait.
likes. We've got 50. I've got a special face.
Big Bavon!
Attention is short. Bust to outer space. Mine in a special place.
Woo! That's right, CC.
Abducted me. I'm from an alien race. Special face. Special face. Special face.
Frank Bavon.
Sorry for interrupting your show, JBH.
Never apologize. I love seeing your name, Frank. If I saw it pop up more, just come in the chat. I just want to see you in the chat. I love you so freaking much. Thank you. Thank you, Frank. I love you. Thank you for playing Special Face and Mikey. And God, doesn't it just make you guys happy to see? Just gives you chills. All right. Spivak. I won't get sidetracked. We're talking about Spivak here. Sergei Speevak. Now, like I said, he came in. He was an undefeated fighter. He had a record of 9-0. People were really high on this kid because of his record, but I think that was pretty quickly shut down. I mean, when he fought Harris back in May, Harris completely destroyed Spivak. He came in with a barrage of shots, violent striking, and yeah, that whole idea was just shut down immediately by Walt Harris. In fact, he lost by knees and punches, which is horrible for him. Now, do you ever drink a carbonated drink and you get that air bubble in your throat? I just got that. I think it's easy to argue that some of the fights in Spivak's previous records were layup fights, and I think that explains his undefeated record because I was looking at some of his past opponents, and some of them were great opponents, and some of them were like, really? Like, you gave him that guy? Like, you knew he was going to win. It was kind of like a layup, almost. It seemed like they were layup fights, not the toughest opponents, sort of a way to pad his record a little bit. And that doesn't scream skill to me. You know, like, I don't like seeing that in a fighter's record. You kind of lose respect for the fighter a little bit. But the fighter doesn't make the fights. You know, the matchmaker does, so you can't blame him. Other than that, though, Spivak is a relatively decent striker. I do worry that his style is not up to par with Tuivasa's, but he's still decent, so he might show something. But bottom line for this fight, guys, I think to me, this is a complete no-brainer. I see Frank Bavon in the chat. He says, "Nah, I'm usually in bed now, Pulse. Got a lot on up to Christmas." Well, thank you for tuning in, Frank Bavon. I hope you get much rest. So bottom line, For this fight, guys, Tuivasa is just far more sufficient in all areas of fighting style, of technique, and all of it in comparison to Spivak. I think Tuivasa has more powerful striking. He's got an extremely explosive fighting style. I think we're going to see a more varied striking game by him. Better clinch work, more cardio. We're going to see all of those things by Tuivasa. It's not to say that Spivak doesn't have that. I just think Tuivasa is more superior in those areas. Now, he is coming off of 2 losses, Tuivasa, but that means he desperately needs this win. So, and to have it in his home country, what better way to make a bounce back than to have it in your own country? So I think it's safe to say that Tuivasa is going to walk away with this one. So my pick, of course, is Tuivasa, and I think it's going to be a finish by KO or TKO. Let me know who you guys have in the chat. Do you have Tai Tuivasa or Sergei Speevak? All right. CC 2.0 says, CC, I was literally writing that. Is Holly Holm out? Yes, Holly Holm has been pushed out due to injury. So unfortunately, she will not be fighting. So Nicastro has taken the spot of Holly Holm, moved up from the prelims. Tuli abuses alcohol. Fook him. I hope he gets KO'd. This is Drunk Savage. No! Detroit, what's a Shuey? Cole Vic, Holly Holm got injured. Justin Jr. with a fist pumps. Does Spivak wear Reebok? Ha ha!
Gaylord.
CC Ryder, well, we are twins or something. Something. Dixie says Sergey, Shannon Stewart, Tuivasa for the win, CC 2.0. Tui got this layup fight this. Donald Haley says, fuck, that card is gonna be shit then. Nah, it's gonna be good, Haley, don't worry. Listen, I'm giving you a reason to watch it. I'm giving you a reason to think that this is gonna be a fucking amazing card, so.
Oh, yeah.
Woo!
Give me that stank breath. Oh, give me that stank breath. Give me that stank breath. Oh, yeah. Give me that stank breath. Give me that stank breath. Stank breath.
Frank Bavon. Oh, just Frank. He didn't say anything. He just donated $5.50. That's the new stank breath donation. So you can thank Moss for that one. That idea stemmed from a little bit he was doing during a live stream this past week, and I think he found himself very funny and decided to do that one. But you know what's gonna be funny is, God forbid, and knock on wood, something happens to Moss. I hope nothing ever does, but he's gonna be immortalized in these donations. It's gonna be crazy. I mean, the things he comes up with, he's such a talent. All right, let's move on, guys. Iaquinta versus Dan Hooker is the oh, wait. That's not right. What the fuck am I doing? It's the co-main event of the evening. Man, fail. Epic fail. All right. Iaquinta versus Dan Hooker. Now, I'm excited for this one for a couple of reasons. First of all, Pulse and I have two completely different picks on this one. Someone thought now would be the perfect time to call me. My ringtone.
Wonderful,
right.
Wonderful.
Iaquinta's coming off of a 1 loss. Unfortunately for Iaquinta, but do not worry because, kind of have to worry because it was against Donald Cerrone, so not the greatest loss. But anyways, his MMA record is 14-5-0. And like I said, he did come off a loss to Donald Cerrone. His last fight was May 4th of 2019. And Moss keeps sending me messages, and I have no idea what they are. He's sending me merchandise ideas while I'm live. Like, okay. Dan Hooker, I think he's going to have quite a bit on his plate for this fight. And all right. Oh, it's up, he's saying. Okay, so I'll show you guys. There's new merch up, apparently. Now, I really think that Iaquinta is going to be one of the toughest opponents for Hooker here. One of the more tough opponents that he's going to be facing, and I'll tell you why. Now, out of Iaquinta's most recent opponents, the ones that gave him the most issues, aside from Khabib, now Khabib, of course, gave him issues, but he's the freaking champ and he's undefeated. Aside from him were Cerrone, Kevin Lee, and Jorge Masvidal. Now, it was a little bit of a different Jorge Masvidal we saw at that time, but did give him a little bit of a tough time. All three men were very different fighters, but the one thing that they all had in common was the fact that they had a very similar reach advantage over Iaquinta, and were able to use that to their advantage. Now, Iaquinta, clearly, when he's fighting a fighter with a reach advantage, I think it makes it a little more difficult for him when it comes to range. Now, I know you could argue that Iaquinta did end up outboxing Lee, which he did, and he did seem to put some heavy pressure on Masvidal, but regardless, that reach advantage still on the other side, on the opponent's side, still came to their aid. So it does seem that he did struggle a bit more against the arm length of Donald Cerrone, who did keep jabbing his face, and he was also able to use those kicks with in tremendous effect. So those are all things that I think Iaquinta is going to have to look out for. All around, I think he's a pretty decent fighter. I think his grappling and his wrestling is probably more superior than his striking, but he's still a pretty decent striker as well, so we can't sleep on Iaquinta here. Now let's talk about Hooker, his opponent, who's currently coming off of a win against James Vick, and he did win this one by TKO. It was a left hook and ground and pound, and that was in the first round. It was KO, TKO, and his pro record is 18-8-0. So the guy's doing all right. Now, Hooker has looked extremely incredible ever since he moved up to 155. When he was at 145, he looked extremely lackluster. He took some serious losses. He took one against Jason Knight. Yair Rodriguez, he took a loss to. But once he was able to stop cutting all of that weight and he moved up to 155, he's been looking fantastic. He has been looking great. And I wouldn't attempt to argue that Hooker is as good of a striker as Cerrone is. But at the same time, and especially when it comes to the punches, because I think that Cerrone is a little bit more superior in that level. But at the same time, I do feel that he's definitely a fighter who knows how to use his length, who knows how to use his range, and things like that. And that can come to his aid because, again, Iaquinta against fighters with some kind of reach advantage, it tends to be a little more difficult for him. Now, as far as fighting style is concerned, Hooker does love to throw leg kicks. He's really good at those. He's also pretty dangerous inside the clinch. He's got to be careful because Iaquinta is also pretty dangerous inside the clinch. In fact, Iaquinta is great at grappling. So that is where he's going to have to be a little careful. But bottom line for this fight, I think it's safe to say that Dan Hooker is like retardedly tough. I don't think Iaquinta is going to be using the body shots the same way that Barbosa did against Dan Hooker. Barbosa used vicious body shots, and that really aided him. I don't think Iaquinta has that fighting style to do that. I'm also not convinced that Iaquinta has the same punching power to put Hooker away. I mean, he can definitely do damage, but I don't think he can put him away. And I think on that note, I also don't think that Hooker will be putting Iaquinta away. I think this is going to be a fight that goes to the decision, but I think he's certainly going to have a style advantage over Iaquinta and a striking advantage alone. And that's really going to come to his aid. So my pick for this is definitely going to be a Hooker. It's going to be Hooker by unanimous decision. Now, everything about me wanted to say Iaquinta. I've met Iaquinta. He's a great guy. He's an excellent fighter. We've seen him fight before. He's fantastic. And he's a New Yorker, of course. I want to pick Iaquinta, but I got to go with my gut here. I got to start doing that. I can't go too much with logic anymore. The more I go with logic, the more of a downfall I've been going on. So now I got to just start going with my gut. So I'm going to go Dan Hooker on this fight. Let me know who you guys have in the chat. Iaquinta shut down Kevin Lee too, says post resurrected CC 2.0. Also, distant management is good, but he needs to take Hooker down. Kolvik Iaquinta by Weidman, New York beaten. Post resurrected, a Hooker getting pimped in this one. Roberto Hernandez, Al, Drunk Savage, think with your penis, JBH. CC 2.0 says Hooker 100, JBH is right. Flatter Thing says Al, go with the flow, JBH says 2 joints. Stephen Crumley says Al could flatline KO Hooker if he lands a counter shot flush. He very well could. I just don't know if he has the striking power to put him away with just simple strategic fighting. And I said the same thing about Hooker, though. I don't think Hooker has that power to put Al away. So, another one.
Oh, yeah. Give me that stank breath.
He loves this one.
Give me that stank breath. Give me that stank breath. Oh, yeah. Give me that stank breath. Give me that stank breath. Stank breath.
Frank Pavon.
Stank breath or morning fanny?
Stank breath or morning fanny? What is a morning fanny? I'd love to know. Frank Pavon is a fan of the stank breath donation. Thank you, Frank Pavon. I love you. Thank you so much. It's good to see you here tonight. Let me know what a morning fanny is. I don't think I've ever heard that term. Maybe it's a UK term or I don't know. I've never heard that term before, but let me know. All right. So a lot of you guys have Al, and rightfully so. I can't kill you, but I really feel that there's going to be a little bit of an advantage in this fight that maybe some people are not going to be prepared for. And I think that Dan Hooker is going to take the win on this one. It is going to go to unanimous decision, though. I don't know if we're going to see a finish here, but for sure we're going to see Dan Hooker take the win in this fight. Now, your main event of the evening. Bobby Knuckles versus Israel Adesanya. Bum, bum, bum. Are you guys ready? Drop the ones in the chat if you are excited for this fight. Let me know. I am fucking stoked. I cannot wait to see Israel Adesanya destroy Robert Whittaker. been waiting for this all week. That's right. You guys already know. You already know. Let's see in the chat how many of you guys are excited. Justin Jr., Houston Creighton Shop, Adesanya. We got a donation. Super chat. Connor Hernandez.
We out here. Love you, JBH. Israel for the win.
Woo, Connor, you know it. You know it, Connor. You fucking know it. Wait, I haven't said my pick yet. I'm just saying, good for you, Connor, for picking the fight. Thank you, Connor, for your contribution. If you guys would like to donate, there's a Streamlabs link in the description below, as well as a super chat button at the bottom of the chat. All right, let's get into it. I see all these ones in the chat. All you guys are excited. I can't wait for this fight, man. I've been looking forward to this fight for the last, since it was announced. I've been looking forward to Izzy versus Bobby Knuckles. I can't fucking wait. All right. I might even stay on for 5 minutes longer just to talk about this fight. All right. Yeah, you all know my... I know you know my pick. But I'm still going to go into the fight. I'm still going to be fair. All right. I'm going to be fair here. I'm going to talk about the strengths and weaknesses of both fighters. I have a very unbiased breakdown, but a very biased pick. Here we go. Let's talk about it. Robert Whittaker is currently on a 9-fight winning streak. Woo! Good for Robert Whittaker. 20-4-0 record. His last fight was in June against Yoel Romero. He did win, but by split decision. Wah, wah. All right. Now, I'd almost certainly guess that part of Whittaker's game plan for this fight is to push forward aggressively, to attempt to catch Adesanya the same exact way that Kelvin Gastelum was able to do. I think Whittaker's going to pull a hell of a lot from the Gastelum fight. And for anyone who thinks that Kelvin Gastelum was a can in that fight, fuck you, man. Fuck you up the ass. That was a fucking fire fight. That was such an amazing fight. Two fucking brawlers in that cage, Adesanya and Gastelum. And he showed some weaknesses in Gastelum. In Adesanya. The Indian
Regarding
dude.
Whittaker versus Adesanya, this is going to be a kickboxing fight.
Yeah?
Adesanya is the more decorated striker.
All right.
I love Whittaker more than Adesanya, but have to set my bias aside for this one.
So you're going to go Adesanya. You love Whittaker more, but you have to set your bias aside. So you're telling me that you're picking Adesanya. That's what you're telling me, that Indian dude. All right, well, let's talk about it a little more. And I do agree with you in certain aspects. Now, like I said, I think Whittaker's going to pull from the Gastelum fight a little bit. Gastelum was able to show some weaknesses, some flaws in Adesanya's game. And Whittaker would be dumb not to pull from that fight. I would. If I was as good as Whittaker and I knew I was facing someone like Adesanya, I would probably pull from the Gastelum fight too. Gastelum knocked him down a couple times, wobbled him, showed some open windows in the house, if to say the least. Anyways, now the question would be, would Whittaker be able to replicate that game plan, and how successful would he be if he were to replicate that game plan?
You can't stop the Siberian Express. Choo-choo, motherfucker.
Post Reloaded.
Israel will get beat down badly, and immediately afterwards Robert Whittaker will get arrested for gay bashing Izzy. That's right, hate crime happening Saturday down under. You don't survive Yoel Romero and lose to this lanky tranny. My own segment coming, so.
Oh, stop it, Post. Stop it. But I respect your opinion. Now, just let me get into it here. Now, Whittaker is faster than Gastelum as far as his striking is concerned. And I'd argue that he does indeed hit harder. Whittaker's a champ for a reason. Now, that being said, I can't say his takedowns are as up to par with Gastelum's or in comparison to Gastelum. Like, Gastelum's takedowns are pretty strong. And I could argue that Whittaker doesn't really match up to that. Now, we can overlook the fact that Whittaker has faced and beaten some relatively dangerous opponents. You can give him that. That's one of his biggest strengths. Now, Yoel Romero, Jacare Souza, those are two extremely big names that stand out against Whittaker. With that in mind, let's not forget that Whittaker hasn't fought a pinpoint striker like Adesanya since back in 2014 when he was fighting Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. And he lost that fight by TKO. Great strikers, yes. Now listen to what I'm saying. Before you guys go fucking haywire and go, oh my god, Robert Whittaker has fought good strikers. Yoel Romero's a great striker. He hits harder than anybody. Jacare Souza is an incredible striker. He hits harder than anybody. Before you go on that fucking tyrant and try and get on my ass about that, listen to what I'm saying. Pinpoint strikers. Not heavy strikers, not barrage explosive strikers. Pinpoint strikers like Adesanya. And the only one that comes to mind that Whittaker has faced is Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Now, Derek Brunson, heavy striker, great striker. Yoel Romero, heavy striker, great striker. Ronaldo Souza, heavy striker, great striker. Uriah Hall, heavy striker, great striker, but not pinpoint striker. Adesanya is a pinpoint striker. And honestly, show me one. Show me one since Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. I'd love for you to show me one. He lost that fight by TKO. Now, I know some people are going to argue that Thompson and Adesanya styles... Oh, here we go.
You can't stop the Siberian Express. Choo-choo, motherfuckers.
I will bathe myself in your tears on Saturday.
No, thank you, True Grit. I will bathe myself... I will drink your tears from that vial you were talking about, True Grit. Bathe yourself in my tears. Please. Please. Now, what I was going to say was that some people are probably going to argue that Thompson and Adesanya don't exactly have the same style. But I also think it's fair to argue that Whittaker, like I said, hasn't fought a striker like Thompson. And just because they don't have the same style doesn't mean they don't have the same pinpoint striking. And I think that's so important. It's great to be a heavy striker. It's great to be a strategic striker. But to be pinpoint on, to get it exactly where you need that fist to go, like he did with Gastelum. I haven't seen anyone that Robert Whittaker has fought since Thompson. I haven't. Now, like I said, it's not to say that Uriah Hall and Romero aren't both excellent strikers. They are. They're both, have flaws that Whittaker was able to capitalize on, and maybe Whittaker can find some flaws from looking at Adesanya and Gastelum's fight that he can find in Adesanya and capitalize on. But the flaws that he found in Uriah Hall and Yoel Romero, Adesanya just seemingly does not have. So that is one strength for Adesanya, but it's also a strength for Whittaker to be able to find those flaws and capitalize on them. Now let's get into Adesanya. Adesanya's on a 17 fight winning streak. Right? Undefeated. 17-0-0. Last fight against Kelvin Gastelum, won by unanimous decision. Now, I know a lot of you guys, or some people, could argue that Gastelum won that fight. I disagree. Israel definitely won that fight. But it was a very close fight. It was a brawl, and I give Gastelum 100% credit. Because, man, did he put up a fucking fight. And he knocked Izzy down multiple times. And he exploited Izzy's fighting game in numerous different ways. So in no way do I think Izzy was 100% perfect in that fight. He wasn't. Gastelum, he had the fucking power to go against him and go the distance and exploit certain flaws in his game. So 100% I give that to Gastelum. But here's where I kind of give Adesanya a little raise. Now, prior to the Gastelum fight, Adesanya, he was having a seemingly difficult time proving himself as the higher level athlete in the game. The Gastelum fight kind of skyrocketed him forward. Now, he did pick apart mid-range fighters. He fought Derek Brunson, who's an excellent striker. Brad Tavares, he also fought, who are both good. Not great fighters, but good. But that said, I truly believe that the Gastelum fight did show a lot of what we needed to see out of Adesanya. I feel that a lot of us were not expecting to see those types of skills come from Adesanya, and he was able to show them in the Gastelum fight. So I think it showed Adesanya's pinpoint striking, like I mentioned before. A style that he could definitely work against top-level opponents with. Against someone like Whittaker, who has the ability to keep a pace. Adesanya, he showed that he has that ability to keep a pace against Gastelum. So I think that's really going to aid him in this fight, because Whittaker has the ability to keep people going the distance there. Also, I think we know that Adesanya's takedown defense, based off of the amount of times Gastelum was trying to take him down. Super chat, that Indian dude.
Also, Robert looks massive in the open workout.
Yes.
Will he gas towards the end?
And I was
to watch for.
Yes.
And yes, picking Adesanya. But I will still love Robert. I am not a fan who jumps bandwagons.
Listen, I respect that 100%. Darren Till lost his last fight. His last two, and I'm still on the Darren Till bandwagon. So I can't blame you for jumping off the bandwagon, but you're making a good pick there, man. You're making a good pick. And I was going to bring that up. He looks a little heavier lately, and but listen, like I just said, he has the ability to keep the pace. He has the ability to challenge his opponents to keep the pace. But we've seen Adesanya can keep the pace, especially given his fight against Gastelum. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. Adesanya's going to, I think they're going to rip each other apart in this fight. And it is going to aid him a little bit. Whittaker does have the ability to keep the distance if he wanted to. And I think that's where he's going to bring the fight to the distance. If it doesn't finish in any way, he's going to be able to keep it to the distance by keeping it in range. Adesanya is very... he can do both distances, but he prefers to stay up close in the striking range. So, that's something to keep an eye on. But here's the thing. We know that Adesanya's takedown defense is good because Gastelum's takedowns are good. And he went after takedowns a lot against Adesanya, and Adesanya stuffed a lot of them. So, also Gastelum wobbled Adesanya a lot of times in that fight. Adesanya never got knocked out. Not once. Not once in that Gastelum fight did he get knocked out. Now, he got wobbled. He got knocked down. But I could also argue that Gastelum got wobbled a couple times in that fight. In fact, I've gone back and watched the fight. And I feel both of them got wobbled in that fight. Maybe Adesanya got wobbled a couple times more, but never got knocked out. And that's something else that we should keep in mind. So, we know that Adesanya does have a chin, but not enough of a chin to get knocked out. Now, here's where a few of Adesanya's weaknesses come in. Gastelum was able to expose a lot of those flaws in the game, like I had previously mentioned. Whenever Gastelum was really pushing forward and committed to his punches, he was able to land surprisingly clean shots, and he even drew Adesanya into some pretty tough exchanges. And I was worried for Adesanya a little bit in those fights, but he still pulled through. Adesanya still pulled through, and he still ended up inevitably winning that fight. So if Whittaker's going to be taking from anything from the Gastelum fight, those are going to be the things that he took from it. And I really feel that that's exactly what he's going to do. Now, bottom line for this fight against Whittaker versus Adesanya, I feel that Whittaker has the ability to win this fight. There is a reason that the betting odds are near even. But I feel he's going to have to be extremely careful against Adesanya from a range, because Izzy's going to try and attack with some of those exchanges. 100%. He's great with combinations. He's good with going in range. He's good with being an explosive fighter. So, of course, he's going to try and attach. And Whittaker's going to have to be real careful. I don't think Whittaker's going to be able to capitalize on takedowns as well as Gastelum did. Super chat. Connor Hernandez.
Hey guys, what time is it?
It's Khabib time! My paprika is back there. My headphones don't stretch that far unless I take them off, but... I'll grab it next time when Chris is here and he can entertain you while I grab it. It's Khabib time. All right. So I don't think that Whittaker's been able to capitalize on the takedowns as much as Gastelum was able to. I don't think Whittaker's takedowns are as up to par as Gastelum's were. So that is a benefit for Adesanya in this fight. And whatever takedowns Whittaker does try to do, which I highly doubt he's going to go for many, Adesanya is going to be able to stuff 100%. He's just not as swift, and Adesanya's defense is pretty great. So throw in the fact that Whittaker has undoubtedly taken more punishment than Adesanya in their careers. I think that's another reason to be a little worried for Whittaker in this fight. Whittaker's taken a lot of beatings, and even though Adesanya has as well, it's not nearly as close as Whittaker. And I think that that's something that could slow down Whittaker. Whittaker is, he's not out of his prime, but he doesn't really defend his title that much. And Moss said it best in last night's stream. He said, if Whittaker loses that belt, you can kiss a rematch goodbye, because he doesn't defend it enough. He doesn't take enough fights to really deserve that rematch. So I think that's another thing that we should also keep in mind. So I could be badly underestimating Whittaker here. And I know a lot of you guys are probably arguing, yes, you are 100% underestimating Whittaker. Maybe I am. But I'm leaning towards Adesanya. I'm leaning towards him catching him with some hard counters. I'm leaning towards him taking him out midway through the fight, whether by KO or TKO. The guy's good. And I hate that so many people sleep on him. And listen, I will fucking cry my eyeballs out if Adesanya loses, man. And maybe I am underestimating him. Knock on wood. But I swear to God, Adesanya is winning this fight on Saturday night. I swear to God. I swear to God. So... that being said, let me know who you guys have in the chat. It's time to get shit on. MMA says steamrolled. Isaac says Gatesy murders that potato eater. Fodder thinking 28 years old. Andrews Industry says Bobby Knuckles is going to kill this ninja. Super chat. King K.
Rob won gold at Commonwealth better than KG rest.
So? What does that mean, King K? What point are you trying to make there? Enlighten me. Jean Paul says Adesanya wins by decision. Mark Jackson Whittaker, Coco Butt Israel by split. Rogelio Hernandez says Whittaker going to KO him in the 4th. How old is Bobby? JBH. Let's take a look at his topology. It's a good question. I don't know how old he is. Let's take a quick look over here at Bobby Knuckles. He's 28 years old. Yeah, so he's still got a lot of time behind him, like the guy's still pretty young, not even hit 30 yet. You can't say the guy's falling out of his prime. You can't say he's slowing down. I can argue a couple fights that maybe his game did slow down a little bit, but he still defended his belt. He's still got a belt over his shoulder, So I get it. I get why people are on the Whittaker train here. King K.
Commonwealth is Olympic level wrestling.
So King K? So explain to me why that's so important. So? All right. Izzy says Mark Roshan and Stuart Izzy for the win. That's right. Interdimensional Intellectual says All-American New York style Mrs. Moss Fergburger, a classic. So now you're coming in on a different account and saying the same fucking thing, you fucking retard. Andrew Lopez says the Nigerian Rise, Chrome to your dome. No, it isn't because boxing is amateur in Olympics. Cole Vick says so. Nick C says Robert Dubia wins off the feet. T-Bird LOL. 28 says Sean Franklin. Boss Kogar, when I was 28, I'd put whooping on all your whippersnappers. I just got here. Who you got? JBH? August. I just went with Israel Adesanya. I'll tell you all my picks. Let's rewind. Let's recap who my picks are for the fights, shall we? We'll go from the first fight of the main card all the way up to the main event of the evening. Now, Justin Tafa. Frank Bavon. Oh, you feel the animal suck.
Australian theme. Fight buddies?
Oh, man, that's a good question. How would we make it Australian theme? I'm sure we could figure something out. Put a kangaroo up in the corner or something. Put a couple Australia PNGs somewhere on the screen. Yeah, we could figure it out. Why not? So let me run through the fights real quick and let you know who I had in every single fight. And you can tell me if you agree or disagree, because I'm sure a lot of you disagree, because fucking faggots. Super Chad.
Speaking as a guy, don't get too emotionally involved with Israel JBH. Us guys will find new and unique ways to let you down, haha. D.
Well, cheers to that Indian dude. Trust me, I think I try to think like a guy more often than not because I have to deal with you guys. So, I'd be an idiot not to think like a guy. I mean, sometimes I don't understand and it gets to me, but more often than not, I try to think with a male's brain, because if I don't, then I would never survive on the MMA-Holes. So, Justin Tafa versus Yorgan Nicastro has moved up from the prelims because Holly Holm was kicked off due to injury. This fight is the first fight on the main card. I did choose Yorgan Nicastro for this fight. The following fight, Luke Jumeau versus Dhiego Lima. I know a lot of people are aiming towards Lima right now, and rightfully so. But I really feel that Jimoh has a couple of tricks up his sleeve. He's got some KOs on his record. He's got some heavy hands, and Lima does have a chin. And I think that given the right time and the right range, he can find him. So I went with Luke Jumeau on this one. Tai Tuivasa versus Sergei Speevak. Now, Tai Tuivasa does have that home field advantage. I think he's really going to feel the energy there. He's coming off of 2 losses, so he does need this win severely. Spivak, also coming off of a loss, a heavy striker, but not as much talent as what we've seen from Tuivasa, and certainly not up to par as far as fighting style is concerned. So I did go with Tuivasa on this fight. The co-main event, Ally Quinta versus Dan Hooker. I went with Dan Hooker. Now, I'm sure some people did shoot with Iaquinta. I wanted to choose Iaquinta for a number of reasons. I just feel that Dan Hooker is going to have a little bit more of a fighting style advantage here. And, that's enough to say that he's going to be able to take Iaquinta. Also, Hooker has a little bit more of a heavier striking exchange. Your main event of the evening, Robert Whittaker versus Israel Adesanya. Of course I'm choosing Izzy because I fucking love the man, but it's not a biased pick. I think Whittaker has a lot to offer here in this fight. In fact, there's a reason, like I said, that this is a near-even fight. The betting odds are near-even, and rightfully so. Whittaker holds the title, but, it's tough because he's always getting hurt, and we usually see him not defend his title more often than he does defend his title, and I think that Adesanya has a lot to offer here in this fight as well. I think Adesanya has better takedown defense compared to Whittaker's takedowns, which are not even as far superior as Gastelum, which Adesanya was also able to defend. There were some gaps in the game that we were able to see exposed by Adesanya, but same with Whittaker. And Whittaker, like I said, hasn't fought a pinpoint striker since Stephen Wonderboy Thompson back in 2015. So, it's no doubt here that Adesanya is going to take the win. No doubt. Justin Jr. says, oh, for fuck's sake, get the tissues ready? Maybe. Predict your pick percent. Let's see. Wait, I just got lost here. All right. Eddie D says, who has the bigger package, JBH, Stylebender or Robert? I think Stylebender is celibate. I think he's never had sex before, and I think it's because he has a small penis. So I'm going to go with Robert Whittaker. Drug Sever says, it ain't going to the ground. Says, well, I agree. I do agree with that. Dapper Dave says, once Whittaker takes him to the ground, it's over. Sami Malone says, hey, buddy. Meow. Chris Mahoney, it's hard to take someone down with a head, or it's hard to take someone down with a head that big. Nobody's going to the ground in this fight. There's no doubt about it. Repairable Ride says, if Izzy wins, I'll eat your shit. Well, that's disgusting. Justin Jr., I like your show and your picks, but your main event is wrong. I never have been a hater, JBH. It's okay. Listen, everybody is entitled to their own opinion. If you disagree with me, you disagree with me. I don't hate. You have every right. And like I said, there's a lot of picks that I make that are complete, lopsided picks that make absolutely no sense. And it's shown in the past. But I do believe it, and I'm going with my gut here. So you have every right. You have every right to disagree with me. It is what it is. Sorry, JBH, but that BBC is taken on by Wonderboy. The last gender bender, run stream upside down, says Gary Banjo Sandwich. There's a doubt, says CC Ryder. Big Nick Digger says FED. Mark Bissett, Wonderboy beats all of them. Wonderboy was also pinpoint striker that beat Robert Whittaker by TKO. So not that Adesanya and Wonderboy's styles are the same, but something to definitely pay attention to. Now, that is it for all the picks. I kind of don't want to let you guys go because I love this card so much. I don't want to stop talking about it. But I do want to go watch the Rangers game because they are on right now, and I've probably already missed more than half the game. So I am going to have to let you guys go soon. But I will let you know, we are going to be live tomorrow at 10 p.m. Eastern time. So tune in because we're going to be doing Food Golf Friday. And we will be live for the fights on Saturday. We'll be doing a live reaction to that with the best commentary play-by-play that you've seen. So good that it's like you're submerged inside the octagon. Other than that, I am trying to build a village before Halloween. Please help me. I've never begged for anything before. I am begging you now. Please help me. I want to get this village built, but I can't do it without your guys' help. Thank you to Drunk Savage. Thank you to Roberto Hernandez. Thank you to everyone who said that they were going to help me. There is a link to an Amazon wish list down in the description below. If you just click that link, it shows all the stuff that I need to build my village. I would absolutely love it if you guys could help me out. Send a piece or two. I'll even write your guys' name on the bottom of the piece, so every Halloween when it comes out, we get to see who got that piece for us. It's a new hobby. I'm a miserable person, so I don't really have much hobbies, and I decided I'm going to start building a village. So if you guys could help me with that, that'd be great. There's a link in the description. Other than that, make sure you guys like this video, subscribe to this channel so that you know when we go live. Join us tomorrow at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time when I win the points game. I'm going to put up an excellent song from Moss. And, man, I don't want to let you guys go. I love this card. All right. I guess I'll see you guys later. Don't be an a-hole. Be an MMA-hole.